got a slip in your palm and a hole in your chest. Black coffee on the felt, man, you look like a mess. 3-team parlay turned to dust in your head. Now you stare at the chips like they made you this man. But don't you go quiet, don't you fade from the floor. Your name still means something to somebody for sure. Put the glass down, baby. Look at me now. Hold on, hold on. Not tonight, not now. Hold on. Let me pull you out. That bell bites hard, but it don't get the crown.
What's up, everybody? It's Toad back with you. Toadstool Sports, Wednesday, August 26th. Went 2-1 on the show yesterday, 5-2 over the last 2 days. I'm all right with that. We won with Kansas City yesterday in the first 5, although they needed a run in the top of the 5th to do it. It was 1-1 at that point, and they scored, make it 2-1. Then they scored 2 more in the next inning, and they wound up winning the full game. After I think they were winning 4-1 or 5-1, they wound up winning 5-3. So I would not have recommended playing a full game though with that awful bullpen. But they were able to get the job done in the first 5. It was close to being a push. The over hit in Baltimore, St. Louis, although Baltimore did all of it. They won 13-1. I thought that it would be more balanced scoring in that one, but I'll take it any way you get it, man. Bassett was definitely better than I expected. I'll have to look at the box score just to make sure that everything lined up there. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Liberatore was terrible. It was a terrible spot for St. Louis in that one. And then we did win with, or excuse me, we took a loss with the under in the Cleveland-Anaheim game, which looked even worse because it went into extra innings, but it wasn't good anyway. And that game was way higher scoring than I thought it would be. It was an 8-6 Cleveland final, but that play was dead, like really early on. Anaheim scored 5 runs in the first 2 innings. I don't know what happened to Gavin Williams. It was one of his worst starts, probably of his career, and Urania was not good on the other side either. So I don't know what to tell you about that. That was a bad play. It was a loser. It seemed like it would be a good play. That's why I added it to the card, but whatever. You're not going to win every one of them. We try to give out the best here on the show. Today, I don't like the board today. I have one baseball play, and I'm going to have a WNBA play, even though I have maybe a little bit of a concern with it, but I think it just has to happen, man. We need to get back on the right side in the WNBA, and hopefully this one's going to hit. Baseball, we have afternoon baseball today. Some of these teams are finishing their series, and they're going to be either off yesterday, traveling, playing a new series, whatever. Tampa Bay is playing Detroit here. Detroit got the win yesterday, so they did end a long losing streak. Detroit really playing some bad baseball recently and may have played themselves out of the playoffs at this point. But they won, ending a 6-game losing streak, so I think that's a good momentum starter. Like, I like when a team ends a losing streak. A lot of times that will give them that new momentum and, like, get that monkey off their back. So the spot, I think, favors Detroit a little bit here. Both teams will show up, but Detroit, if they don't think they're dead, they're going to be playing with more urgency here. Tampa Bay doesn't really need the game as much. Bullpen-wise, these bullpens, I think, are kind of closely matched. Tampa used only 1 guy out of the bullpen yesterday, though. Detroit used more than that. They used 4, so Tampa Bay probably does have the edge in this game out of the bullpen. They're ranked 4th, although I keep saying they're not that good because their ERA isn't really that good. Detroit's bullpen ERA is better, but they're ranked 14th, arranged by WHIP. But I think probably Tampa Bay has a slight bullpen edge in this one. Tampa Bay is 7th offensively, Detroit 14th. Tampa does have a little bit of an edge there. Starting pitching, if you look at how these pitchers have performed this year, even if you include recency, Detroit should have the starting pitching edge here. Freddie Peralta's pitching for Tampa Bay. Really bad season for him. 5.33 ERA, 1.46 WHIP. It's been by far his worst season of his career. Like, he was a good pitcher when he was on Milwaukee, and this season he was mostly on the Mets. I thought that changing to a different team that was in contention would give him some new motivation. He hasn't been that great with Tampa either, though. He's been bad on the road, 6.79 road ERA. That's not good. Since joining Tampa, really not great. One fairly good start at the A's, which is a hitter-friendly park, so that was all right. But other than that, not great. His last start, though, he gave up 5 runs, but he actually did have good command numbers there, and he went 7 innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, which was against Baltimore. So that start wasn't really as bad as the amount of runs that he gave up made it look. So maybe he is kind of trending in the right direction. And I guess the other good news is he does have good numbers against Detroit. 41 at-bats, 13-3 strikeout walk ratio, 244 average allowed, 677 OPS. And he did face Detroit this year, back when he was on the Mets, back in New York, and he did well in that start. So he might actually have a decent matchup here. So he might actually not pitch that poorly here. Looking at his overall numbers, though, he's had some big-time walk issues this year. His hit rate is also too high. Too many home runs allowed, too, really. And his strikeout rate actually isn't too bad. So he is striking guys out, but the walk rate has been a major issue for him, more than it usually is. Strikeout per 9 is actually not too bad here on the season, but the strikeout walk ratio is a little bit bad. Again, the walks have been the major issue for him throughout his career, but it's been more of an issue this year. Plus, he's been too hittable on top of that. Troy Melton is pitching for Detroit. He's been good since they brought him up to the majors, man, although I don't think his numbers here are sustainable because he's not a strikeout pitcher, but he has a 1.6 ERA, 1 whip, so he's not putting guys on base. He's been slightly worse at home with a 2.09 home ERA. Oh, no. He's been good, though. He's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in all but 1 start on the season. He allows very few hits, doesn't really walk many people either. Strikeout rate isn't too high, though. Like I said, that's just not really what he does. He does have good numbers against the Rays, 22 at-bats. Not a big sample, but 182 average, allowed 598 OPS, 3-3 strikeout walk ratio. I believe this is 8 hitters have faced him in that lineup. I could see the argument for the under in this game. The money seems to be slightly tilted towards the over. 59% of tickets, 62% of the cash on the over. Total is low at 7.5, so the odds makers seem to think it's going to be low scoring. Peralta seems like he might draw a good matchup here. I expect Melton probably pitches well as well, so I think the under is probably my strongest opinion here, although a lot of money coming in on Detroit, and I don't really disagree with that either. 51% of tickets on Tampa, 75% of the cash on Detroit. They're like minus 120 here. Maybe Detroit first 5 makes more sense because I don't know if we trust their bullpen given the usage yesterday. So Detroit first 5, I think is definitely in consideration here just because Peralta's just had a bad season overall, man. And maybe he's not trustworthy on the road. Melton has been the better pitcher out of the two this year. And Detroit has that new momentum after they broke the losing streak. Plus, they have more motivation here potentially. So Detroit first 5 makes some sense. I probably slightly prefer the over there, or excuse me, the under. I prefer the under in that game, but lean to Detroit first 5 as well. I think both of those are valid ways of playing that game. Yeah. All right. Chicago and Arizona. These teams have split the first 2 games. Arizona bounced back after that embarrassing loss in the first game, which I thought they might. A lot of teams bounce back after they get shut out in the first game. I thought it would be a little bit lower scoring yesterday, but Arizona wound up winning the game 5-4. Arizona's got a little bit more to play for here because they're fighting for one of the last wild card spots, whereas the Cubs are more secure in their playoff spot right now. Arizona used 2 relief pitchers yesterday. Cubs also used 2. The Cubs, I think they have the better bullpen. Arizona's ranked 9th, but their ERA is not very good. Cubs are ranked 12th, but they do have the better ERA. And their whip is really not that much worse. So I do think the Cubs are the better bullpen. Cubs are number 1 offensively still. They've been really hitting the ball well recently. And Arizona's been pretty good as well offensively. They're 18th right now, tied with Kansas City and Philly, but they moved way up because they were in the bottom like several offenses for a lot of the season. Pitching matchup here, Matthew Boyd is pitching for Chicago. He's been mediocre, 4.15 ERA, 1.24 whip. I'm not happy with him right now because we did not get the win when we backed him on Friday against Seattle, but he's been good on the road, which is part of the reason why I did back him there. He has a 3 road ERA. But Seattle's a pitcher-friendly park, and Arizona is more hitter-friendly. So I don't know what he's going to do here. And he's not striking guys out recently. His strikeout-walk ratio is really bad in the month of August, 11-9. That's not good, man. And he's been giving up a lot of runs here. He's going somewhat deep into most of these outings, but yeah, I mean, he's not pitching that well right now. Not really striking guys out. The walks don't look good. However, if you look at his season-wide numbers, hit rate's fine, walk rate isn't bad, strikeout rate is low, but the strikeout-walk ratio won't be too bad because he really hasn't walked that many people on the season. And strikeout per 9 is, kind of low, which isn't a great sign, I guess. But he is typically good against Arizona, 68 career at-bats, 191 average, 589 OPS, 17 strikeouts, 4 walks. So he might draw a decent matchup here. And again, he is better on the road, so he's in the better of his home road splits here with what might be a decent matchup. Eduardo Rodriguez continues to baffle the advanced analytics guys with his good season this year. He's pitching for Arizona here, 2.61 ERA, 1.21 whip. He's been basically the same home and away. I think he's a little bit better at home because his opponent batting average is pretty low at home. He's been pretty good over the course of the season, man. He's still not pitching poorly. Like, his strikeout rate's been pretty good this month, 22 and 24 in the third innings, only 4 walks. Yeah, I mean, none of those numbers look bad. Over the course of the season, low hit rate. His walk rate is, I guess, a little bit questionable. And his strikeout rate is definitely low over the course of the season, and that's what the advanced analytics guys are poking at here. Like, his strikeout walk ratio is still not really that good, so some regression is expected. Like, his whip does indicate that his ERA should be higher than it is, although I would still say his ERA probably should be like in the 3s, which is still not bad. His strikeout per 9 is down, though. It's the lowest that it's ever been, and we know that he's older and post Tommy John surgery or whatever, but he's continuing to pitch effectively, man. His numbers against Chicago, though, not good. It's 64 at-bats, 281 average, 911 OPS, 14-5 strikeout walk ratio. Just looking at the matchup numbers here, I don't know, man. I mean, the motivation probably is on the side of Arizona here. I kind of lean Cubs in this one. Just maybe I'm weighing the matchup too heavily, but Boyd has the better matchup numbers here. He is better on the road than he is at home, so I think he can compete here, and you're going to get the Cubs right around a pick-em price, and they are the better team overall. They have the better offense, and I would say the better bullpen as well, so I would slightly lean Cubs here. The money is indicating otherwise slightly. 55% of tickets on the Cubs, 56% of the cash on the Diamondbacks. The stronger market read in this game is actually the over. 8.5. Looks like the over is getting some money there. I don't have a great read on the over. I mean, I guess I could see the argument for it, right? Like, if you're looking at Boyd just having a really bad strikeout walk ratio recently, Erod's is a lot better. So I guess that kind of counters the Cubs lean a little bit, by the way, where if you want like better current form, Erod is the pitcher that falls into that category there. He's the one that's in the better form. But he's expected to regress based on his overall numbers. Boyd does have his issues. His recent strikeout walk ratio not good. So I guess I could kind of see some of the arguments for the over there. Plus, both teams have been hitting well recently. So that's another argument for the over. But I don't like the game, really. So that's a pass for me. Dirty Sock, what's up? Thanks for hanging out. Garrett, what's up? I did not like that call. I said under in that game. I think you got a little bit lucky, man. I said under, and I leaned to the Dodgers yesterday as well. The Braves were in a return home spot. I would never tell you to take a team in a return home spot. I will literally never do it. It's a negative spot. Plus, they were coming off the Sunday night game in the Little League Classic, which was a huge win over Milwaukee. And Glasnow, I like the spot when a veteran pitcher comes back from the DL like that. So, yeah, there's no way I would have recommended the Braves. Elder is also a shit pitcher, but he does have good numbers against the Dodgers. So I said under was the better way to play that game, which I believe was correct. The side, I think you got lucky, man. That's what I'm going to tell you. All right. Cincinnati and San Francisco. This game, these two teams are ass. They're playing out the stretch here. San Francisco is on the verge of a potential sweep here. And, I like to look for the team that's trying to avoid the sweep because that team usually has a little bit more motivation. San Francisco might overlook the Reds here after beating them twice. Reds only have 1 run in this entire series, which is ridiculous. San Francisco, I believe, is playing Arizona next, so San Francisco does have there's the potential they might be looking ahead to Arizona because it's a divisional series. They might play spoiler in that series, whatever. So I think the situation indicates towards Cincinnati here, but the matchup, I would say, does not. As far as the way that as far as the bullpen usage is concerned, San Francisco used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. I don't love their bullpen. Cincinnati's is worse, but they only use 2 guys. But I would avoid both bullpens here. Giants are 24th, Cincinnati 25th. Don't love any of that. I don't like these offenses either. San Francisco 22nd, Cincinnati 26th. These are bad offenses, and this is a pitcher-friendly park here. Nick Lodolo pitching for Cincinnati. He is not having a good season. Since the end of last year, he seems to just be having injury issues, blister issues. Who knows what's going on? But this has been a much worse season for him than what we've seen out of him throughout his career. 5.04 ERA, 1.52 whip is really bad. He's not good on the road, 5.59 road ERA. Even though this will be a more pitcher-friendly park than his home stadium, he pitches better at that stadium for whatever reason. He got lit up last time out at Arizona. Not a good start from him. He's not pitching well this month, really. He's been way too hittable for the most part, not really striking guys out. Same thing goes for the whole season. His hit rate's too high. His walk rate's not good. His strikeout rate's low. These numbers are pretty abysmal. Really bad strikeout walk ratio, like way worse than he's put up throughout his career. So I think there's something wrong with him, to be honest. Like the last 2 seasons, he was nowhere near this bad, especially last year. And you could argue last year was a little bit of an outlier. But even if you look at the year before that, he is way worse this year. And I don't really understand why. His strikeout rate has gone way down as well. So I think, there's something wrong with him. His numbers against the Giants, they're only 1 for 12 off him. They have 3 batters who have faced him. 0.83 average, 237 OPS, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. Not a big sample size, but Lodolo might draw a decent matchup here because it's a bad offense and they're not particularly good against Lodolo. Landon Raup is getting the start for the Giants. He's been okay, 4.34 ERA, 1.31 whip, not great. He's slightly better at home, 4.22 home ERA with a better opponent batting average at home. His issue is the walks, though, and it continues to be that. He has a horrible 16-16 strikeout walk ratio this month. That is awful. The number of walks is terrible. And if he was able to clean that up, he'd be pretty good because he doesn't really allow that many hits. His strikeout rate's decent. And that's been the case over the whole season. Strikeout rate, pretty good. Hit rate, good. Walk rate, terrible. So his strikeout walk ratio is going to be really bad because of all the walks. Strikeout per 9, not too bad. Something's got to give, man. He's got to clean that shit up. Cincinnati, however, you want to see some stats here. Cincinnati's current lineup is 0 for 26 off of Raup. That is ridiculous. With 9 strikeouts, 2 walks. The only player on their roster that's ever reached base against Raup is Suarez, who has 2 walks against him. They have a 0 average, obviously, and a 0.71 OPS. This is one of the larger sample size. It's not a big sample size, but to have no hits against a pitcher, this is one of the larger sample sizes you'll see. That's ridiculous. So I could see the argument for San Francisco, man. I think the matchup favors San Francisco here. The money is coming in the other way, though, towards the situational angle, which is Cincinnati, as I already discussed. 58% of the tickets are on San Francisco, 56% of the cash on Cincinnati. I don't buy that San Francisco is a public side here, really, although they have won both games in the series. So, well, maybe I do buy it, I guess. I mean, the public doesn't want either of these teams, I wouldn't imagine. The money line here is at like a pick'em price. I think whichever side you pick, I would only go in the first 5 because the bullpens are just, who knows what these bullpens are going to do. Like either bullpen could just break you, so I don't like that. The money is also indicating towards the over, but I actually kind of lean first 5 under in this one. I think both starting pitchers actually do draw a decent matchup here. First 5 under makes some sense, but a 3.5 It's a little bit questionable, but the odds makers are telling you they think it's going to be a low-scoring game by putting a 7.5 out there, and some of it is because the offenses are just awful. But San Francisco makes some sense to me here. I mean, Raupp's numbers against Cincinnati, that 0 for 26, that's pretty good, man. And Lodolo has really had a bad season, so I don't know. I think San Francisco first 5 makes maybe the most sense in that game, but I don't want to play it. I would not do that either. I'm going to talk about that game, obviously, but yeah, I do not want... Smith-Shawver has been absolutely horrible. There's no... Yeah, obviously you're biased. Stop betting with bias, man. Yeah, there's no way that I would play the Braves in that game. No way. I would not have done it yesterday. I don't even really think they should have won the game, and I would not do it today either. Cleveland and Anaheim here. Not happy about the way that went last night, but Cleveland is playing well right now. Cleveland's playing a lot of bad teams, and they're taking advantage of it. Cleveland is on the verge of a sweep here. Cleveland, who are they playing next? Like, will they have a look ahead is the question. Probably not, because they're playing the Royals. So Cleveland might continue to show up here. Cleveland is obviously the team that has more motivation here because they're trying to make the playoffs. Anaheim's done for the season. Cleveland does have the better starting pitcher on the mound here as well. So there are some indicators towards Cleveland in this one. Cleveland has the better bullpen here as well. Both offenses are terrible, which is part of the reason for the underplay yesterday. But I would avoid both bullpens in this game because that game went extras yesterday, and the bullpens got overworked. Cleveland used 6 relief pitchers in the game yesterday. Anaheim used 5, excuse me. But yeah, I would avoid these bullpens in this game. They're not particularly good bullpens. Cleveland is okay at 15th, but with all that usage yesterday, plus Anaheim being 21st and all their usage, I would avoid the bullpens here or look towards an over in this game if you're going to do something about that. Maybe the over is worth considering in this game because the bullpens are just totally shot. But, of course, I hate these offenses. They're both terrible. Anaheim's 28th right now, tied with Toronto. Cleveland is 30th, so absolute last after yesterday. Not good at all, even though both offenses actually put up some numbers yesterday. Joey Cantillo is pitching for Cleveland. He is the better starter here. 3.73 ERA, but 1.45 whip is really not good. He puts way too many guys on base via the walk. He's a little bit worse on the road as well, 3.88 road ERA with a much higher opponent batting average on the road, so I don't love him on the road. He is walking too many guys. Like I said, he's not allowing a lot of runs, but he's not going deep into some of these outings here. He has good strikeout stuff, so he could be a good pitcher, but his wildness is a major concern. He's not too hittable, walks way too many guys, does strike out a lot of guys as well, but the number of walks is still like crushing his strikeout walk ratio. It's not good, even though his strikeout per 9 is good. Over 9 there. His numbers against Anaheim, though, they're a bad lineup, and they're not good at home, and they have 18 at-bats against him. Small sample, but they've done basically nothing against them. They have no extra base hits, a 167 average, 452 OPS, 6.3 strikeout walk ratio. So Cantillo does draw a good matchup here. So I'm not convinced that he's actually going to pitch that poorly here. Grayson Rodriguez is pitching for Anaheim. Not a good season from him, but he is trying to come back from injury, and he looked like his career might have been starting to take off back when he was with Baltimore, and then an injury totally derailed him. He's got a 6.41 ERA here, 1.53 whip, bad numbers, really bad at home, 8.82 home ERA, really, really bad. However, he was really good last time out at Houston. Gave up no earned runs in 7 innings, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. So he might be trending in the right direction here, man. He's actually had a decent month of August. He's had 2 really good starts in August, although both of them were on the road. His one home start wasn't that good against Kansas City, so yeah, that isn't a great sign. Also wasn't really good on the road at Miami either, but he's definitely improving. He's definitely pitching better, so I don't think he's just like an absolute like blind fade here, although his overall numbers are not really good here. Hit rate too high, walk rate too high, strikeout rate is okay, but he seems to be trending in the right direction a little bit here. His strikeout walk ratio is still not good because the walks are bad. Strikeout per 9 is kind of on its way back up a little bit, but his strikeout walk ratio in August, like I said, is actually good. However, he isn't good against Cleveland. 23 career at-bats, 304 average allowed, 776 OPS, 1 strikeout, 3 walks. So given that Cleveland, I think, does have the motivational edge here, plus the starting pitching edge, I'd lean Cleveland in this one. The money doesn't agree. 79% of tickets, 69% of the cash on Cleveland. But Cleveland would be the way I would be looking here. I don't know if I'd want to go full game, though, because both bullpens are just totally untrustworthy here after yesterday's onslaught of pitching that needed to come into the game. Although Cleveland generally is the better bullpen, so maybe they will handle that better. You'll be paying like minus 130 something for the full game. If you take Cleveland first 5, which I think might be the best way to play this is Cleveland first 5, you're going to be looking at a higher price. So you're probably going to be looking at having to go like minus half run on the run line maybe or something like that. But I think that is a valid way to play this game. And I would also lean over in this game still, even though Cantillo looks like he matches up pretty well here. He is very, very walk heavy. I don't trust G-Rod in this particular matchup, even though he looked good last time out. He's been awful at home. Both pitchers are in their bad home road split here, and the bullpens are just totally shot right now. So I think there are more indicators towards an over than an under, although the money looks like it's slightly indicating towards the under, although the under looks public as well, which usually you don't see public under, so most of this is probably professional money, which kind of scares me, but I would lean over the 8.5 in that one, and I would lean Cleveland first 5 or whatever. I agree with the over in that game. That is the way I would play that game if you're going to play it. It works. Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Yeah. That's fine, man. Keep fucking with me. You know, I'm an ass. I'm stubborn, whatever. But yes, I'll talk about that game when I get to it. But yeah, I think the over is my strongest lean in that game. All right. Where was I going next? Oh, this next game is my only baseball play, so we do have a late afternoon play here. Late afternoon on the East Coast, but it is an afternoon game where it's being played. My only play here is Philadelphia, Seattle under the 7. It's a low total, man, and it's low for a reason. I think you could definitely find a 7 out there. You got to pay a little bit of juice. I don't see any 7. I think that I did see maybe 1 7.5, but it was like minus 135 or maybe even worse. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to pay that much just to get the hook. So I'll deal with it, and if it lands 7, we'll push the bet. But I think this is going to be a low-scoring game with Philly and Seattle here. You know, I like playing unders in Seattle generally just because it's a pitcher-friendly park, but people might be scared off of this because the 7 is a low number, and the first game of the series went over with Seattle winning 9-2. Yesterday did go under, though. Seattle won again 4-1. Seattle's playing with some motivation here, man, because they could still make the playoffs. Their route to the playoffs is probably going to be having to win their division, and they're not too far off right now. And Seattle, I thought, would win the division again, man. That was what I said in my season preview. They could, and I said Houston would probably be in the mix and that Texas might be as well. So I was okay with predicting this division. A lot of people didn't like Houston, but I was a little bit higher on them than other people. Anyway, Seattle is the more motivated team here. Like Philly has an easier chance to make the play, like a better chance to make the playoffs at this point. Both teams should be kind of motivated here, though. Philly trying to avoid the sweep. You know, usually a team like that is going to show up to try to avoid the sweep, but I'm not going to try to pick the side here. I'm expecting it to be a low-scoring game and probably a close game if that's the case. Seattle only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, although they did use Munoz, a.k.a. Senor Smoke, who is their closer, although he hadn't pitched in 3 days, so I guess theoretically he could be available again. I'm okay with leaving the bullpens in here because I think both starting pitchers are kind of grinders, and they could get you through more like 6+ innings here, so that could save the bullpens a little bit. These bullpens are also not like total trash, but they're mediocre. Philadelphia used 3 relief pitchers yesterday, but I don't believe they used their better relievers because it was a save situation for Seattle. The bullpens, I think, you know, Seattle, they have more talent in their bullpen than what these numbers have reflected this year. They're ranked 20th in bullpen. I know these numbers don't look that good. Philly is 18th, but I think given that the starters, I think, can get us deep into this game, this is the way I'm going to play it and get on this key number. If you play, you can play under first 5, but you know how much I hate that recently, and you're probably going to be looking at a 3 on it in the first 5. That is I don't like playing the 3 in the first 5, man. I like to try to at least get 4, and there's no way you're going to get a 4 in this game. So I'll just extend it to the full game and hope that we get some good performances from these starters here, some deep performances. Go deep, penetrate the game deeply. We do have some offenses that aren't really that great here. Seattle's offense 27th, although they're playing a little bit better recently, but they're definitely a fadeable offense. Philly is also not as good on the road offensively. They've been better generally recently. They're 18th, tied with Arizona and Kansas City, but Philadelphia has not been as good of an offense on the road. And as you can see, this series, their offense has been nothing. Like, they only have 3 runs in the series. So I think both offenses are fadeable here. But a lot of this has to do with the starting pitching, obviously. We're going to back both starters here. Jesús Luzardo for Philly. He's been really good this season and probably better than his numbers might even suggest. 3.35 ERA, 1.15 whip. His numbers looked bad earlier in the season, but he's gotten those numbers under control. And one consistent thing for him for the entire season has been he's been really good on the road all season. He is getting better at home, but he's always been good on the road. 1.95 road ERA. Or at least this season he has been, but I think last season that was the case too. But yeah, he's been pretty much dominant on the road. Last couple starts, he didn't go too deep into that last start, whatever, but Philly keeps winning his starts. Like, they win the majority of his starts, although I know I'm not picking a side here, but his strikeout rate has been really high recently. 9+ strikeouts in his last 3 starts. He's not walking many people either, not allowing that many hits, so he's obviously in good form right now. He's pitching really well. He's got a low hit rate, and as I pointed out not too long ago, that graphic that was up there that was on Twitter with the top 10 expected ERAs this year from like Baseball Savant, whatever. Both pitchers in this game were in that graphic. Luzardo and Wu were both top 10 expected ERA, which means their underlying metrics have been really good, no matter what their ERA actually says. But Luzardo does have a low hit rate, high strikeout rate, one of the highest in baseball, actually. And his walk rate is the one number that's not great, but it's not bad. Strikeout walk ratio is good. It's actually one of the highest he's had in his career, actually. So he's having a really good season. And his strikeout per 9 is also the highest that he's posted, except for like a short season when he was with Oakland long ago, which I forget him I don't even remember him being on Oakland. Luzardo also has been good against Seattle. They have 61 at-bats against him, 29 strikeouts. He has a huge strikeout rate against them. 8 walks, 230 average, 696 OPS. They do have some power hitting they've been able to do against them, but other than that, whatever. They have home runs from Julio Rodriguez, who is one of the better hitters on the team, and Patrick Wisdom. I honestly have no idea who the fuck that even is. Great name, though. That must mean he's an intelligent batter. I have no idea. And like I said, we're backing Brian Wu on the other side here too. I've always liked Wu. I've always thought he was a good pitcher. This year, his ERA is misleading, in my opinion, at 4.1. He's been a lot better than that. As I said, his expected ERA is in the top 10 in baseball, or at least it was when that graphic came out a couple weeks ago. 1.08 whip is good, indicates his ERA should be lower than that. Now, his numbers are a little bit worse than what he's put up in the past because he's had some really bad road performances this year, but he started to pitch better on the road recently, and guess what? We're not on the road here. We're at home where he has a 1.96 ERA and has a ridiculous 164 opponent batting average, so he's been excellent at home. So these pitchers both have extreme home road splits, and they both line up in favor of the pitchers in this game. So I love that too. Wu has been in good form recently, striking out a decent amount of guys here, even though he's not a huge strikeout pitcher, but he's only allowed 2 runs in 18 innings this month and only 9 hits, 15 strikeouts, 3 walks. Yeah, he's pitching well recently. Pretty low hit rate on the season. He really doesn't walk anybody either. His strikeout rate is almost 1 per inning, too. So, again, these numbers are good across the board. So, you could kind of tell the advanced analytics guys will tell you, yeah, like his ERA should be lower than it is. His strikeout walk ratio, not as good as it was the past couple seasons. It is still pretty good, though. And a strikeout per 9 is lower than last year, but still not too bad. Against the Phillies, he's also been good. They have 30 at-bats against them. They have no extra base hits, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, 167 average, 385 OPS. I like it. Both pitchers have good matchup numbers here. They both are in their positive home road splits here. They're both good. I think they're both actually maybe even underrated. Their ERAs, I think, are both like their expected ERAs are, in both cases are lower than what their actual ERAs are. So yeah, let's do it. Under is my only baseball play here in Philly, Seattle. Let me see here. And yeah, the money seems to be indicating that way. 63% of tickets, 86% of the cash on the under. Obviously, the odds makers think it's a low-scoring game because they've thrown a 7 out there. I think you probably have to get to this because this number is getting juiced. So, yeah, I would probably pay up to about minus 125 to get it under 7. But you can find minus 120, minus 118 is out there right now at DK. But, yeah, I would probably get on that. It's my only play of the day in baseball, so I do feel strongly about that one. And you can see why. I just gave you the explanation for it. You're a bookie. You need more books, man. You can still do it at 6.5, although 7 is a key number. But, yeah, I would do that. I would pay the minus 125 to get it under 7 and get it on that key number. However, I will say that just in the overall, from the overall perspective, the big picture, if you blindly play Major League Baseball games under 6.5, you actually will profit by doing that. Like, that's been the case over the last several years, at least, I think. I don't like to do it, though, because I just can't do it because a 7 is a key number. But some professionals will tell you that you should because the odds makers put it at 6.5, knowing it's going to be really low, like, that they're expecting it to be a really low-scoring game and trying to keep people from putting money on it. Like, they're trying to they're trying to prevent you from playing the under there, you know? But I still I don't like doing it personally. Maybe I'm a pussy. Maybe that's just my opinion, but I found a good number on the 7 here anyway. But yeah, I think minus 125, I would say, is the cutoff for me on that because it is such a key number. If you wanted to go under 6.5, I wouldn't disagree with it. I mean, everything points towards an under in that game. But yeah, I would. This is also why I recommend living in a state that has a lot of books available to you and having an account at every single one that you can, because then you can find a better number. You can shop around. Pittsburgh at San Diego. We won on the under in the first game of the series. I leaned under yesterday, and it definitely went under. It was a 1-0 Pittsburgh win. Paul Skeens was actually awesome in the game yesterday, and he was throwing like 99 miles an hour again. So Skeens, maybe having that extra rest or whatever. Maybe he's not injured anymore. I don't know what the deal was with him, man, but he looked really good last night. The pitching was really good in the game all around last night. But now Pittsburgh is on the verge of a sweep here. They're playing with some motivation here, man, for whatever reason, even though I think they're kind of a dead team at this point, but they rolled Skeens out there yesterday. Some people thought that they'd shut him down for the rest of the season and try to let him heal and whatever because Pittsburgh probably isn't going anywhere. But they're playing well in this series. San Diego is probably the more motivated team, though, because now they're not only trying to avoid a sweep, but they're also in the mix for the playoffs here. So they're going to be trying to make the playoffs as well. Pittsburgh, I don't know if they're going to look ahead to St. Louis next, although it is a divisional series. As far as the bullpens here, San Diego has the better bullpen. I think there's no question about that, although they used Mason Miller yesterday, even though it was not a save situation. Now they've used him 4 of the last 5 days, so he probably is not available today, so that's not a good thing for San Diego. They only used 2 relief pitchers yesterday, though, and they do have some other good relief pitchers. Pittsburgh used 3. I'll still give San Diego the edge in the bullpen. They're number 5, but I think they're possibly a little bit better than that. Well, I don't know. I mean, I would say you have 5 really good bullpens this year, and it's Red Sox, Yankees, Braves, Brewers, and Padres. I don't know how we should really order them, but I think there's a gap after those 5 bullpens. I think there is a noticeable gap to the rest of them. And Pittsburgh is, where are they at? They're 22nd, although their ERA is not that bad. And they kind of bolstered their bullpen a little bit at the trade deadline, which seems like it was all for naught. As far as the offenses, Pittsburgh is number 5 offensively. San Diego's 23rd, but they've been definitely better since the All-Star break. Bubba Chandler is getting the start for Pittsburgh. He's definitely the better of the 2 starting pitchers here. So even though San Diego should have the motivational edge here and they're favored, this pitching matchup, I think, definitely favors Pittsburgh. Chandler has the way higher ceiling out of these two pitchers. Like, he's just the more talented pitcher, and he's starting to pitch well again. He pitched really well last year. This year, he hasn't had a great season. A 4.38 ERA, 1.37 WHIP, but he's still really young, and he's got a lot of potential. He's not as good on the road, really, 4.54 road ERA, but this is a pitcher-friendly environment at least. He's striking out a lot of guys recently, but he is walking a lot of guys. Some of these starts, he's not going too deep. He struggled last time out, but it was against the Dodgers, so you might give him a pass for that because other than that, he's had a really good month of August. Even though a couple of starts, he didn't go that deep into them. He's got a low hit rate here. Strikeout rate is okay. You know what his problem is. His problem is the walks. He's got to fix that. But recently, it's been a little bit better at the very least, although still pretty high. His strikeout walk ratio is a problem. Last year, it was awesome. So he's got to find some middle ground here, man. Like last year, small sample size, maybe a little bit misleading, but he was really, really good. So you know what he could do. This year, the walks have just been a huge problem for him, though. And he's got to fix that because last year it wasn't a problem. Strikeout per 9 is pretty good and almost as good as it was last year. Numbers against San Diego are kind of mediocre. Only 12 at-bats, though. They only have 7 hitters who have faced him, I think. 250 average, 771 OPS, 3-4 strikeout walk ratio. So, again, the walks are a bit of an issue here. San Diego hasn't really been able to hit him well, but they do have a bunch of walks against him. But still, I think Chandler is preferable to Randy Vasquez, who's on the other side here. Although Vasquez has pitched well recently. I saw him pitch because Clint was here. Clint is a Liberty Lockdown. He's a San Diego fan because that is where he's from. So he roots for the Padres and the Chargers. We watched the game, eating some Chinese food last Friday night, and Vasquez pitched and did well in that game, and they won that game. That was a series sweep for San Diego against Minnesota. Vasquez, 4.19 ERA, but 1.31 WHIP is not that good. He's still not that good of a pitcher, man, although he has been good this month, but he doesn't strike anybody out, although a lot of times he has some major walk issues, but this month he's not really walking anybody. So he's putting very few guys on base this month. So he's in decent form right now, but the advanced analytics guys hate him because he doesn't strike guys out. I usually don't like him because his whip is high and he usually walks too many people. And that's been the case for the season. Actually, his hit rate is too high on the season as well. His walk rate isn't really that great. His strikeout rate is quite low. So that means, you know what that means. His strikeout walk ratio is not good. It really has never been. His strikeout per 9 is not very good either. So at some point, I think he's going to start regressing again here, but he is pitching pretty well, at least for the moment. However, he's not been good against Pittsburgh, although it's a small 20 at-bat sample size. 6 of their hitters have faced him, but they've done a lot of damage against him. 450 average, 1127 OPS, no strikeouts, and 6 walks. So Vasquez does not have good matchup numbers here. I think I have to lean Pittsburgh first 5 here, man. I think that's the better way to play it. Chandler just has the way higher ceiling. I don't love Pittsburgh's bullpen at all, so I would exclude them from that equation, with San Diego still being the better bullpen. But I think Chandler has the upper hand over Vasquez, even though San Diego should be motivated to try to avoid the sweep here. San Diego looks like they're public, but also have some professional money on them. 75% of tickets, 80% of the cash on them. They're about minus 130, but I would look Pittsburgh first 5. You might be able to find them as an underdog in the first 5. They won't be as big of an underdog as they are in the full game, but you still might find plus money on them in the first 5. Under 8.5 is also getting money here. I don't know if I like that, though. This game, out of the 3 games in the series, this game is the least underlooking to me out of the 3, so that is what I will say about that. I don't think I have a whole lot else to say about that. Pittsburgh over their team total is also one potential way of playing that because they match up well against Vasquez. If you think Chandler's a little bit of a wild card here and too unpredictable, Pittsburgh to score some runs, especially because they're the underdog there. You probably only need them to score like 4 runs here to get over their total. So that might be a decent way to look in that game as well. Boston and Miami, the Red Sox won in an extra inning game yesterday. I think the first game seemed like it was going to go to extra innings, but I think it didn't. Yesterday went 11 innings. The Red Sox tried to blow the game pretty much, but they wound up winning with a grand slam from Jarren Duran in the 11th. And everybody, Red Sox fans are still going to hate the guy because the Red Sox are the fan base is a bunch of leftist idiots who still have to hate Duran because, oh no, he said a mean word like 3 years ago. Just shut up, man. Duran, I know he hasn't had the best season hitting for average, but he's hitting for power and stealing a lot of bases. So he's aggressive running the bases. His fielding's been decent for the most part. Yeah, like fuck the Duran haters. I love Duran. Huge hit for him yesterday with that grand slam to win the game. Clutch hitting there. But now the Red Sox are in a situation where they're looking to sweep the Marlins here, and you know who the Red Sox play next because it's the most hyped matchup of the weekend, Red Sox-Yankees in New York over the weekend. So the Red Sox might be looking ahead here, man. The Red Sox will have tomorrow off, which should help them rest their bullpen after yesterday, having to use a lot of relief pitchers yesterday. Don't know what's going to happen in this game, though, man. We need Sonny Gray to pitch well here and go deep into this game and save the bullpen a little bit. Although, like I said, tomorrow the Red Sox are off, so whatever. But this is not a good spot for the Red Sox situationally. The Marlins are going to be motivated to try to avoid the sweep here. Red Sox might be looking ahead to the Yankees at this point. One thing I will say, though, is if you have watched the games in this series, the Marlins fans are not really showing up. Like there are not a lot of fans in the stands, and half of the crowd is Red Sox fans. Because you know the New England fans, the Red Sox have a fan base all over the place, but also especially in Florida because of all the snowbirds and whatever, even though you'd think they'd be up here during the summer, but there are a lot of New Englanders that live in Florida. So there are a lot of Red Sox fans. That's something to think about. Like Miami does not have as much of a home advantage when they're playing the Red Sox. And they just can't get fans to show up to the ballpark either. Miami used a bunch of relief pitchers. They used 6 guys out of the bullpen, or 7 actually. The Red Sox used 5. So I would avoid the bullpens today. The bullpens are just overworked because of yesterday. Although the Red Sox do have the number 1 bullpen in baseball. And they did pitch well again yesterday. Miami is okay. They're 7th. I don't think they're that good. They're a decent bullpen. But again, I would still avoid the bullpens here. Red Sox have been awesome offensively since the All-Star break. They're up at number 8 now. And even a little bit before the All-Star break, they were starting to turn it around. Miami is number 11. So I do think the Red Sox have the better bullpen and hitting, and they do have the advantage in those departments here. And on the surface, this looks like a mismatch that favors the Red Sox in the starting pitching, but I'm not so sure about that. Sonny Gray is pitching for the Red Sox. He's had one of his best seasons, even though he's older. I think Chad Tracy and whatever, they're like managing Gray better. Like they're not overworking him. He's got a 2.79 ERA, 1.16 whip. Really good stuff here. He's been slightly worse on the road, 2.82 road ERA. His opponent batting average is worse on the road. He's been pitching well still, though. He was a little bit off last time out against San Francisco. Still wound up getting a win, though. And I think he has one of the highest amount of wins for a starting pitcher. He might be leading the league, actually, in wins with 16. I'm not sure. But he's been pitching well. He's got a lot of strikeouts recently. He's not walking too many guys. These numbers are all pretty good here. Low hit rate on the season. Doesn't really walk many guys. Strikeout rate is okay. He's not a huge strikeout pitcher, but he's been pretty good at that this month as well. Overall numbers are good here. Strikeout walk ratio is good, even though it's lower than what he was doing with St. Louis. But I think St. Louis taxed him. Like last year, he started failing at the end of the season. Hopefully that's not going to happen here. But it seems like he's focusing more on intelligent pitching this year, you know. His strikeout per 9 has gone down as a result, but he's still been very effective. Against Miami, however, I know it's a small sample, 5 hitters have faced him, 15 at bats, but Miami has had the upper hand against him. They have a 400 average and 1,004 OPS against him, 1 strikeout, 2 walks. So I don't love that, even though it's a small sample. I wouldn't put too much weight into it. Gray is good, and it's a pitcher-friendly park, so I'm not going to say Gray is just going to go in and get blown up here, but I don't really know if I want to back him here. Like, he might have one of his lesser performances here, even though he is the better pitcher here against Ryan Gusto, who I don't think is that good. Gusto, 4.37 ERA, 1.34 whip is not very good. He's been good at home, though, for the most part, 3.94 home ERA, and he is actually pitching okay recently, although he isn't pitching deep into most of these games. Sometimes they put an opener in front of him. Although recently I think they're just letting him start, but I always point that out when I think a team might use an opener in front of a guy. They might do it here, so I will say if you're going to play this game, I would pick Graham a start, but not pick a starter for Miami because it's going to be Gusto or they're going to put an opener in front of him. But they've just been letting him start recently, and he's actually had a pretty good month here. Pretty good strikeout rate, and he's walking almost nobody this month, so he is pitching well here. And Miami's won his last 3 starts. His hit rate on the season is still too high. His walk rate's not bad, though. And his strikeout rate is actually okay. So Gusto actually isn't that bad, although he is a bit too hittable, and that's why his whip is too high. His strikeout walk ratio is actually not bad this year, so that's a decent indicator, actually, for him. And strikeout per 9 isn't really that bad either. So maybe I have to stop shitting on Gusto, man. He's not that bad. His numbers against the Red Sox, only Eli White has ever faced him, and he's 0 for 2 with no strikeouts, no walks, and an RBI. I'm going to leave Miami in this one, man. I don't love it at all, but I think that's the way to look. The Red Sox open at minus 160, and they're already down to minus 130 something here. 87% of tickets, 88% of the cash on the Red Sox, but it's a bad spot, man. Miami's a home team trying to avoid a sweep, so it's a bad spot for the Red Sox. They might be looking right past Miami and looking towards the Yankees here. I'm tempted to actually play this, to be honest. Money's also backing the under for what that's worth. Totals at 7.5, but you know what I always say? When it's a low-scoring game, that usually means that there's value on the underdog, because if it's low scoring, that means it's more likely to be a closer game, better chance for the underdog to hang around. This is pretty tempting, man. I'm going to be honest here. I mean, the matchup numbers do support this, and the spot supports this as well. Yeah, you know what? I don't like doing this. I don't like adding plays on the fly. I thought it was just going to be my under, and obviously I like that under better, but let me see here. Looking. Yeah, I mean, Action Network has very similar percentages here. It just looks like the Red Sox are very public here, man. What can we get with Miami in the first 5 here? Yeah, we can get them as an underdog in the first 5. Let's do it. Dude, the stupid gym book here in Massachusetts, I almost said Boston, in Massachusetts here, they have a plus 128 on this, on Miami in the first 5. Like, are you kidding me? Full game, the number is around there. First 5, it's not really, so I'm not going to give it out at that. I mean, that number's just, I don't even know if that number actually exists. Like, Action Network might just be a little bit skewed, but you can find a plus 110 on this right now. This is Miami first 5. Let's do it. Whatever. And I'll hedge my rooting interest here. This is Miami first 5. I'll call it plus 110 here, even though it looks like there is a plus 128. I don't know if that's actually accurate, though. I'd have to go look at that actual book. And sometimes that book really has limited me just for making smart plays. So, but we'll take Miami first 5 there on the money line. All right. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think about that before. I mean, I think I was just kind of, in my mind, it was like, oh, Gray is like clearly the better pitcher over Gusto. But I don't know. When you look at Gusto's numbers, he's not that bad. So let's do it. But I would say pick Graham a start and not pick a starter for Miami. If Miami throws an opener in front of Gusto, whatever. But I think Gusto is going to start. All right. And then we'll avoid the bullpens for obvious reasons. I mean, both bullpens are taxed, but Miami's is the lesser of the two anyway. Colorado at Washington. Colorado got a decent performance, at least out of Adams in his Major League debut yesterday. Although he didn't go that deep. He did walk some guys, but kept Washington kind of off the board there. And Washington lost the game yesterday. So these teams have split this series as we're now in the evening games here. Actually, the Red Sox-Miami was also an evening game. This is a matchup between two teams that are going nowhere here, though. Washington and Colorado. They're both bad bullpens, although Washington only used one guy yesterday. Colorado used 5. So Washington probably does have a bullpen advantage here. They're also ranked a little bit better than Colorado, 26th versus 27th. I would still avoid both bullpens, though. Colorado is ranked 4th in hitting. Washington is 3rd. Washington's been a little bit worse recently. This pitching matchup is certainly not an elite one. Tanner Gordon is pitching for Colorado. Not a good season. 5.75 ERA, 1.49 whip. However, he is better outside of Coors Field. 2.97 road ERA, but he still is very hittable on the road. 290 batting average allowed on the road. So that ERA is misleadingly low on the road, but he is still better on the road than he is at home. He's been... I don't know what to say, man. I mean, he's just too hittable. Like, he doesn't really walk many guys. His strikeout rate's been pretty low as well. He looks like he's kind of been somewhat okay-ish this month. Like, the strikeout walk ratio is not bad, but ERA is still bad. He's still been way too hittable. Colorado loses most of his games. I mean, they lose most of their games in general. But, yeah, he's too hittable on the season. He doesn't walk many guys, and his strikeout rate is kind of okay on the season. So his strikeout walk ratio is pretty good, but he's just way too hittable, man. The strikeout per 9 is not exactly terrible, but yeah, he just gets hit around way too much. Washington, though, has not actually been that good against him. They only have 12 at-bats, 6 hitters have faced him, 250 average, no extra base hits, 558 OPS, 2-1 strikeout walk ratio. So Gordon, he might actually do okay here, to be honest. Like, he is better on the road, and he does have decent matchup numbers. Washington is going with Matt Waldron here, who they picked up not too long ago. He's a knuckleball pitcher, and he was on San Diego, and then he was on Toronto very briefly, pitching out of the bullpen. And I will say, if you're going to play this game, I would probably just play it action, because I have no idea if one or both of these teams might put an opener in front of these guys. It's very hard to say. Washington just picked up Waldron. He has not had a good season. 7.54 ERA, 1.62 whip. However, if you look at his career numbers, he's not that bad. I mean, he's definitely not good, but he's not this bad usually. When he actually has like a prolonged season, like he actually wasn't that bad for San Diego back in 2024 when he actually had his longest season of his career and he was actually in their starting rotation. He wasn't that bad. Like, for whatever reason, these knuckleball pitchers, they have extreme, I mean, we know why they have extreme variance, because the knuckleball is kind of dependent on the atmosphere, like the climate and whatever. But it kind of like evens out over the course of the season. Like, you saw that with like Tim Wakefield and whatever. Like, he'd be widely variant start to start, but season to season, his numbers would be very consistent. Waldron, RIP to Tim Wakefield. I loved that guy as a Red Sox fan. Put in a lot of years with the Red Sox, man. Even though he did give up that stupid home run to Aaron fucking Boone in that bullshit 2003 game. Anyway, Waldron, he has not gone deep into any of his outings here, which is why I was saying, and that was with Toronto and with Washington, excuse me. He has not had any deep outings here, but Washington's won every game that he's appeared in. Although he hasn't been good with Washington, so I don't know what to tell you about that. But they might put an opener in front of him, like, who knows? Or he might be the opener. Like, I don't know what Washington's doing here, to be honest. He's got a high hit rate on the season. Hasn't really walked that many guys, considering that usually you see a lot of walks from knuckleball pitchers, usually, because it's hard to command that pitch. His strikeout rate is somewhat okay. I just don't know what to think, man. He's definitely unpredictable. His strikeout walk ratio is actually pretty good this year, and it's similar to what it was in that one good season that he had. His strikeout per 9 is also somewhat okay, but I don't know if I want to really trust him here. And Colorado has been able to hit him in 43 at-bats, 395 average, 1,074 OPS, 7-6 strikeout walk ratio. Colorado is familiar with him because he was in their division with San Diego. I don't know what to do here, man. Maybe a Colorado lean here. It's such an unpredictable game. It's one of the most unpredictable on the board here. Where is it? Where's the National League? Here it is. 76% of tickets, 88% of the cash on Washington. They're around minus 120 something here. I would probably lean Colorado first 5 here. I mean, Gordon has been at least okay on the road and does have the better matchup numbers here. So I think I would lean that way a little bit towards Colorado first 5. I think the other way to play this is probably just still to play the over here. I mean, you got 2 bad bullpens here. Neither pitcher is anything great, so over the 9 probably makes some sense here too. It's a reasonable number there. The money is coming in on the under, though, so I don't know. And yesterday's game was a low-scoring game, but the game before that was high-scoring. Houston and the New York Yankees. The Yankees kind of blew the game yesterday. I believe I said over was the way I leaned yesterday, and that was correct. As Houston won the game 9-7 yesterday. That was the first game of this series. As this series actually continues tomorrow. Colorado-Washington continues tomorrow as well, by the way. So most of the remaining games I'm going to talk about continue. The series continue tomorrow. So the Red Sox are actually going to have a rest edge against the Yankees in the first game of their series against them. Don't know if it'll be enough. Yankees used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Houston also used 4. It was a game where there were a lot of runs coming home late, man. It was not an extra inning game, but there was a lot of back and forth late in that game. A lot of scoring late in the game. Bullpen-wise, the Yankees do have the better bullpen. They're ranked 2nd. Houston is ranked 13th. Similar usage yesterday, so they're a little bit overworked here, so I don't know if I'd really want to back the bullpens here. I would probably still back the Yankees over Houston's, though. As far as the hitting, Houston's been the better offense throughout the course of the season. They're number 9. Yankees have been struggling for a while now. They're 16th right now. Yesterday, both offenses definitely came to hit, though. Don't know if that's going to happen in this game or not. We don't even know who the Yankees are starting here. It was supposed to be Garrett Cole. Cole would be the next guy up in the Yankees rotation, but he is scheduled to pitch tomorrow in the last game of the series, so I don't really get what the Yankees are doing here. But whatever. It looks like the Yankees are going to be going with some sort of bullpen game, or they might call somebody up. I don't know what they're doing here. Peter Lambert looks like he is going to pitch for Houston here. He's had his breakout season here, although he's starting to falter a little bit here later in the season. Maybe just because he's thrown more innings than he has before. Sometimes you see that with these guys that aren't used to it. They start pitching a bit worse. So the advanced analytics guys don't really seem to love this guy. But his whip has been pretty good all season. 3.68 ERA, although his whip has gone up recently to 1.2. He's been pretty good on the road, though. 2.98 road ERA. He got absolutely blasted last time out against Anaheim, though. That is a concern, right? Like, Lambert was kind of cruising through the season, and then he gets smoked by this bad lineup for Anaheim, and that's what's skewing his home numbers a bit and skewing his recent numbers. Maybe it was an outlier. Like, maybe he will pitch better again here. I don't know, though, man, because he looks like he is starting to pitch a little bit worse. His hit rate is really good on the season, though. He's been hard to hit. His walk rate isn't really that good. His strikeout rate is pretty good, though. So he's been able to strike guys out, but the walks have been a concern from him. He is a little bit too wild, which makes his strikeout-walk ratio not that good, although his strikeout rate is good. It's the best that he's posted this season, or this in his career, I should say. But yeah, his innings pitched, it's not that high still, though. It's in the 120s, but the most that he ever threw was 89 1/3 in his one long season as a starter with Colorado, or long-ish season with them. It was more than half the season. So I don't know, man. Maybe he is starting to get burned out throwing this many innings, which he's not used to, but he's still not really at that like number where I think it gets like too high. His numbers against the Yankees are not good, though. In 28 at-bats, 393 average, 1,040 OPS, 5-4 strikeout-walk ratio. None of that is good. So I don't really trust Lambert here, given that he looks like he's kind of falling out of form. Yankees have been able to hit him well. We have no idea who the Yankees pitcher is going to be. If you're going to play this game right now, I would say just take the over. The total's at 8.5 at some books here. The worst you're going to find is 9, so you'll be right on that key number. Odds makers kind of expecting it to be a little bit of a higher scoring game here. The bats were definitely in sync yesterday, so that might continue. Like, the bats might be in the offenses might have the momentum right now, let's say. The money agrees with the over here. We have 92% of the cash on the under, 53% of the cash on the over. I think that's what I would do. And you'd be able to pick Lambert must start, and you can't pick a Yankee starter because we have no idea who it's going to be. But it looks like it will not be Cole. If it was Garrett Cole, I would not like the over anywhere near as much. Like, I would recommend probably looking towards the Yankees maybe if it was going to be Cole pitching. But you're going to have to pay a price for the Yankees if that's the case. The way it is right now, the Yankees are at a pretty minimal price here. Like a small favorite, minus 120-something here. Money is still backing Houston. 76% of tickets on the Yankees, 80% of the cash on Houston. I don't think I'd want Houston, even if it is Lambert against some unknown for the Yankees. Lambert just doesn't have good matchup numbers here, man. So I like the over in this one. I doubt that the Yankees are going to have any sort of good pitcher here. Although if it is Cole, I would lean either Yankees, but the price is probably going to be high on the Yankees if they do that. If they do that, the other thing that you could do it, you could do it anyways. You could play the Yankees team total over. Just take the Yankees they'd have to get 6 runs probably, but maybe even 5, but probably 6. But they could definitely do that here in this game. But I just think in general the over makes sense here. I mean, the offenses are clicking right now. I don't trust either pitching setup if it's going to be some like bullpen game or something like that for the Yankees. So yeah, over is probably the way that I would look to play that game. Kansas City and Toronto, we got this one right yesterday with Kansas City in the first 5. Kansas City winning some games recently, man. It was a bad spot for Toronto, though, the return home spot. You know I talk about this. When a team doesn't do well in the return home spot, a lot of times they bounce back and they play better in the next game. And this is the American League, so technically Toronto is still in the mix for the last wild card spot, although I don't think they're going to do it, and they kind of sold at the trade deadline, even though they did pick up Soriano. But it is a decent bounce-back spot for Toronto here, and maybe playing Toronto's not out of the question here, even though it looks like they're going with a bullpen game, because Kansas City is going with their pitcher who I just don't think is anywhere near as good as he's looked so far. Kansas City used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Their bullpen is definitely not good. Toronto used 5, but I would still prefer Toronto's bullpen here. Toronto's ranked 17th. They're an okay bullpen. Kansas City is ranked dead last at 30, although the A's are still worse, but Kansas City's right behind them. Offensively, the Royals, what am I saying? Yeah, I think I said the Royals. The A's are the worst bullpen, but Kansas City's second worst. Yeah, anyway, Kansas City's 18th offensively, tied with Philly and Arizona, like I said. Toronto has been really bad, though. Toronto's 28th, tied with Anaheim. So Kansas City actually has the better hitting, but Kansas City's hitting has not been good on the road. And they're going with Randy Dobnak again here. He's got a 1.58 ERA, man, so he looks so good. But his whip is 1.4. I mean, come on, man. Like, if you go into Baseball Savant, whatever, his expected ERA is probably like 5 or maybe even higher than that. Like, there's no way that this ERA is sustainable. Dobnak is not good. His career numbers are not good. He's walking a ton of guys. There's no way that he can sustain this ERA. His ERA on the road this year is 0. I mean, I'm just laughing, man, because it's not going to continue. I'm sorry. But his strikeout walk ratio is 29-20 in 45 2/3 innings with 44 hits allowed. The hit rate is mediocre. The walk rate is clearly too high, and he doesn't strike out that many guys. He does get a lot of ground balls. So he's David Peterson right now. Like, he's masking how bad he actually is. He's David Peterson, but worse. His strikeout walk ratio is not good at all. His strikeout per 9 is also not good. This guy's not good, dude. The regression is going to happen. And maybe it'll start here, although Toronto only has 2 guys who have faced him. They're 1 for 2 between Jimenez and Straw. Straw has a double off him, and Jimenez has a walk, and they have no strikeouts. But yeah, even though this is a really, really weak lineup, I don't think Dobnak is going to pitch well. Toronto's got Spencer Miles listed as a starter. He's pitched well this year, but this is a bullpen game. Like, he usually goes out and he opens the game, throws 1 to 2 innings. He's been good in that role. And maybe Toronto will do okay, but they did use a lot of their relief pitchers yesterday, so I don't know if I want to trust that either, really. You could lean to Toronto here. They're in the bounce-back spot. They have more motivation here. You'd be stepping in front of this Royals train where they've won like 9 games in a row or whatever. Toronto, 67% of tickets on them, 76% of the cash on Kansas City, so the money's coming in at Kansas City. And maybe the professional guys just riding this train with them, but I don't know, man. Kansas City's still not a good team, and they're not good on the road. This is a decent bounce-back spot for Toronto, so I disagree with the money there. I would lean towards Toronto slightly. You might have to turn it into a -1 run line, though, which I really don't like, but I think the only other way to really play this game is to play the over, but I guess that means you could play Toronto's team total over, but you're going to need a bad offense in Toronto to score whatever it would be, like 5 runs on their own. I don't know if I'd really want to ask them to do that. Full game over, though. Both pitching setups might kind of fail here. The money's indicating towards the under. 83% of tickets, 92% of the cash on the under, but I would lean over in this game. The total's 9 or 8.5. I guess you might be able to find an 8.5 and get under that key number. And I would say play the over, but you can get a number that's lower than 9 there, which is kind of what you want. So if you can find the over 8.5, that might be a way to play this. It's scary because both offenses are really bad. Toronto's is really bad, and Kansas City's is not good on the road. So it's definitely scary, but the pitching looks iffy enough in this game that I would prefer the over, probably over anything else in this game, but I would also lean Toronto, like I said. All right, I'm going to be right back, and then I'll talk about the rest of these games, including that Braves game, although you already know what my opinion is on it, but I'll give the breakdown on it. I'll be right back. Yep, inside, I want to kill myself. We are on an 0-7 run over the last 2 days. After tonight was just complete bullshit. So that's how I'm going to start off this show. Horrible Sunday, 1-5. I don't even know what to tell you about that. I just don't want to do this anymore. I have never seen anything like this, man. With the slump continuing, 2 straight losses, not a good day at all. 0-4. I just have not had a good season, man. What can this slump that I'm on? The slump continues. I've reached a new peak, actually. I'm going to burn my Bruins hat, man. I don't know what is going on with the Bruins. March 8th, is that what it is? I don't even know. It's March 9th, I think. Who even knows, man? I don't know what day it is anymore. I don't even know what day it is anymore, man. Back with you after the worst day that I could possibly have. Back with you, as I always am. Until I die, at least. 0-2 yesterday, and yesterday did not go well for me. 0-5. The worst month that I've ever had in my 18 years doing this. I don't know what to even tell you about this anymore. Broke the slump yesterday as the slump just continues. The slump continues. Somebody fucking kill me, please. I don't even know what I should do at this point other than potentially end it all. All right. Whew. Feel a little bit lightheaded again. I don't know. The other thing I would say about that Toronto game is I would probably just play it action because you pretty much know it's going to be Dobnak probably is going to start for Kansas City, but who knows? They might put an opener in front of him, but Toronto, you don't know for sure if Miles is actually going to be the first guy to pitch or not because they're going with a bullpen game. You know that much, but probably it would be an action play if I was going to play that game. All right, hold on a second here. I have too many windows open here, too. All right, yes. Next game up is Milwaukee and the Mets. These teams have split the series. Oh, no, excuse me. There was only one game in the series so far. My mistake. The Mets won, I think, kind of in dramatic fashion yesterday, 3-2. So it was a good pitching duel. I was a little bit worried about Harrison. I think it was Harrison yesterday. He had some really bad road numbers, but he obviously pitched all right yesterday, or at least apparently he did. But the Mets were able to come away with the win there. These teams both have pretty good bullpens. The Mets used 4. Milwaukee used 4 guys out of the bullpen as well yesterday. Was it an extra inning game or was it not? It was. It was a 10-inning game. So, some extra relievers had to come into the game yesterday. It's still, their usage hasn't been that bad, so I would still trust the bullpens. The problem is I don't think I trust the starters in this one. Whoops, I'm looking ahead there. As far as the bullpens are concerned, I got to figure, I'm like, which tab do I want to be in? Milwaukee is one of the best. They're number 6, but I think I ranked them like 3rd, and that's where their ERA is. Mets are not bad at 8th, but they're not in that top 5 bullpens that I listed, whatever. But these are both pretty good bullpens. Dustin May is pitching for Milwaukee. He will be the more trustworthy of the 2 starters here. He's the one actual starter in this game. No offense to Mr. Unsolved Mysteries on the other side, but May is definitely the better of these 2 pitchers, although he's not great. 4.57 ERA, 1.3 whip. not great. He's not good on the road, a 5.59 road ERA, so that worries me. He got shelled in his last start against Seattle, and we won on the show with that play. I gave out Seattle first 5, and Seattle did hang on to win the full game as well. They had a 7-2 lead, I think, at the end of 5. That was after Seattle lost that game 22-0. I was like, we have to play Seattle to bounce back here. Plus, Seattle had one of their better pitchers against May, so I forget. It was, I think it was probably Logan Gilbert, right? I forget who it was. It might have been, was it Wu? Maybe it was Wu. I don't know. I don't remember. But whatever it was, we got the win there. Anyway, May, he's got some issues. His strikeout walk ratio is not very good since being acquired by Milwaukee. So they got him in a trade with St. Louis. He looked okay in his first 2 starts, but his walks have been an issue here, and he got blown up against Seattle. It was not a good offense, so I don't know if I really trust May. His hit rate is okay on the season. His walk rate's too high. His strikeout rate is all right, so, I mean, these numbers aren't too bad. After he kind of struggled since he had, I think he had Tommy John surgery, had some injuries, because he used to be really good when he was on the Dodgers, but he's had some issues, man. He's never really had a complete season in his entire career, so he's had some issues. This year is actually the most complete season that he's had. And it's been all right for him. I mean, his strikeout walk ratio is not that bad. His strikeout per 9 is actually okay as well. So, yeah, he's not a horrible pitcher, but I don't trust his form right now. His numbers against the Mets are actually good, though. In 40 at-bats, 225 average, 569 OPS, 8-1 strikeout walk ratio. So May actually pitch well here, and I think he is clearly the preferable pitcher over Robert Stock, not Robert Stack, but that's why I call him Mr. Unsolved Mysteries. If you have any information about where we can get a better starting pitcher than this guy, Stock has not been good, man. I mean, he has not had much of a career, and he's 36, and he is stocky, by the way. So he's a fat guy. He's 6'1", 260. He's same dimensions as the tugboat. Robert Stocky, 5.4 ERA, 1.68 whip is terrible. He's been good at home, though. 1.32 home ERA. I don't trust him, though. I mean, he's barely pitched. He's made 4 appearances. Hasn't allowed any earned runs the last 2 times he's gone out there, but he's walking a ton of guys. 19-11 strikeout walk ratio. His strikeout rate is actually impressive in 16 2/3 innings, but 17 hits allowed on top of 11 walks. That's not going to cut it. That is way too many base runners. Strikeout walk ratio, therefore, is not good. He was actually on the Red Sox 2 different times, and I don't remember that at all, including last year. Made 2 relief appearances. Yeah, don't remember it whatsoever. His strikeout walk ratio is actually, his strikeout per 9, like I said, is actually good, though, this year. So that's interesting, at least. Milwaukee only has 1 guy who's faced him. Yelich is 0 for 1 with a walk and a strikeout against him. Still, I think if you're going to play this game, I think you got to find some way to just play Milwaukee here. They're heavily priced, though. They're at minus 150. Milwaukee's the only team with something to play for here, but Milwaukee's pretty secure in a playoff spot here, you know. Mets might at least try to play spoiler here, and the Mets did win yesterday. Milwaukee has 82% of tickets, 77% of the cash on them. So they're a public side with less of the money on them. So the money is indicating towards the Mets, but I would not want to back stock here, man. I would not do it. I would lean Milwaukee, maybe like a -1 run line, or the other way you could do this is take Milwaukee's team total over. The total's at 8.5 for the full game. So you're probably looking at Milwaukee needing to get 5 runs here, maybe, which that's not too bad. They should be able to do that, really. Money is backing the over in general. 87% of tickets on the under, 76% of the cash on the over. I would lean that way as well. I would lean over as well, but May does at least draw a good matchup for himself here. So I think either Milwaukee -1 run line or Milwaukee team total over might be my preference there, but it's not going to be a game that I'm going to get involved in. All right, Dodgers, Atlanta, MLB Network, Garrett. So you guys that have cable, have like a normal sports package, you'll be able to watch this game. Garrett probably can anyway if he's in the Atlanta area. Atlanta won the game 4-3 yesterday. It's a big series. I mean, both teams are going to show up for it. I mean, you're talking about 2 of the top teams in baseball here. Atlanta has the better bullpen. They used 4 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. The Dodgers also used 4. So my recommendation yesterday, I think, was Dodgers first 5, which I think was a push, by the way. I think Atlanta scored a bunch of runs early, and then Glasnow, I think, had to settle down, and then the Dodgers wound up tying it before the end of the 5th inning. Anyway, Atlanta is number 3 in bullpen. I kind of ranked them 4th, maybe 5th, but whatever. Dodgers are not quite as good. They're not awful, but they're number 11. So Braves have a bullpen edge. Dodgers have the offensive edge. They're number 2. Atlanta's number 13. Dodgers have Roki Sasaki on the mound. I actually probably prefer him over Smith-Shawver in this game. Sasaki, he's been somewhat better more recently. Like he was a guy that really couldn't get out of his own head, and he was bad, but he's not pitching that badly at this point. Overall season has been okay. 4.42 ERA, 1.3 WHIP, although he is not as good on the road, although he's kind of settled down on the road as well. He's only slightly worse on the road at this point. 4.53 road ERA. He's pitching okay this month. He did have a walk-heavy performance against Milwaukee. But if you take that out, he's actually been pretty good for most of the last 2 months. So that's not too bad. His hit rate's okay. His walk rate is too high. His strikeout rate is okay, so his main problem is really the walks, and he's a little bit too home run heavy as well. Strikeout walk ratio is not great just because of the walks. Strikeout per 9 is higher than it was last year, though, so he is finding his strikeout stuff. His numbers against the Braves are not great, but it's a small sample size. 11 at-bats, 5 hitters, 273 average, 930 OPS, 2-2 strikeout walk ratio. So I don't know if I want to fully trust Sasaki here, but I trust him over Smith-Shawver right now. Smith-Shawver is still young. AJ Smith-Shawver for the Braves. He's one of their young, talented pitchers, if you want to say that, but he's just walking everybody right now, man. So I don't think we could trust him. His numbers are awful so far this year. 6.23 ERA, 1.62 WHIP. He's only made road appearances so far, though. He's only made 2 appearances, but things did not go well. 8 2/3 innings pitched total, 9 hits allowed, 6 runs, 5 walks, 7 strikeouts. So the only number there that's really even that good is the strikeout number. Not great here, man. And you look at his numbers overall, last year was the biggest sample size we got from him. He pitched pretty well back in 2023, and I think he got injured. Last year he pitched a bit, and his ERA was good last year, but his WHIP was not good, and the walks were definitely an issue for him last year, and it looks like that's continuing so far this year, so he's really out of control, man. Not good. And his strikeout rate wasn't, hasn't really ever been that excellent. It's just been okay. Anyway, I feel like Bill and Ted right now talking like that. Anyway, his strikeout walk ratio is not really good here. His strikeout per 9 is not great either, really, although it's a small sample. Shawver against the Dodgers, they have 2 guys who have faced him, Call and Rortvedt. I have no idea who that even is. They're combined 2 for 7 off him with a triple and a double. All the hits have come from Call, and Call has a walk against him. Rortvedt has 2 strikeouts. Not a lot to see there, but this is a very, very good lineup that Shawver has to deal with here. Smith-Shawver, I should say. I don't see a whole lot coming from him here, so as I said, as Garrett pointed out earlier, yes, I would play the over in this game if I was going to play anything here. The money is definitely indicating on the over. We have 70% of the tickets on the under. I don't know about that. A public under, probably not. You wouldn't see the public really playing it under in a game like this, especially where the pitchers are not named pitchers. But 81% of tickets on the over. The total's below that key number of 9 at 8.5. That's pretty reasonable. You definitely have capable offenses here. So, yeah, if I was going to do anything, I would play the over, and I do slightly lean Dodgers first 5 as well. I would prefer to have Sasaki over Smith-Shawver with the way these pitchers are pitching right now. Sasaki has just been able to settle down more into at least some sort of form here. So current form is on his side, although his matchup numbers aren't good, so I don't really want to do that. Minus 120 something really is the price with the Dodgers. That does worry me a little bit. It almost looks a little bit too easy to take the Dodgers, but everybody also does know the Braves are also a good team, though. So, I don't know, but the Dodgers are still public, 74% of tickets, although 80% of the cash on them. They might be public and getting professional money on them. But still, I think the over is the better way to play that game. I think both teams should be able to hit in that one. Texas at the White Sox. White Sox bounced back with a win yesterday, 11-7. Both teams are trying to maintain their playoff positioning here. Both teams are still fighting to win their own divisions. They're both potential wild cards as well. So a lot of motivation on both sides here. They've split the first two games here. Both those series I just talked about are continuing tomorrow, by the way, with Milwaukee, New York, Milwaukee and the Mets, I should say, in LA and Atlanta. Texas, Chicago, this series is actually ending here. So it's a 3-game series. These teams, I think, are going to be off tomorrow. The White Sox used 4 relief pitchers yesterday. Texas also used 4. Kind of heavy usage there, man. White Sox have had the better bullpen out of the two this year. They're ranked 16th. Texas is 19th and has been kind of disappointing, but I don't know if I want to trust either bullpen after the usage yesterday. White Sox are the better offense. They're 10th. Texas is 21st. Texas is a little bit better offensively on the road, though. Mackenzie Gore is pitching for Texas. He's been decent, but he's much better at home than he is on the road, and he's on the road here. 4.26 ERA overall, 1.23 whip. Road ERA, though, 5.42, so he does have his issues on the road. He's in decent form right now. He's getting a lot of strikeouts recently. His walk rate has actually gone down a little bit, and his team has won 7 of his last 8 starts. So he's not pitching poorly right now. He's in decent form. Even his recent road starts have actually not been that bad. Like his last 3 were all actually pretty good, including one at the A's stadium. So he is actually pitching pretty well here. Low hit rate on the season. His walk rate is his main issue, though. He walks way too many guys. His strikeout rate is high, so he has good strikeout stuff, which has kind of always been the case. Strikeout walk ratio is actually the highest that he's posted in his career, so that's good for him. So his strikeout rate's gone up a little bit for the most part, I think. Although actually his strikeout per 9 is kind of similar to what he's always done. So I guess that means his walk rate has actually gone down, believe it or not, even though his walk rate is still too high. His numbers against the White Sox look bad, but only Doyle and Grichuk have ever seen him, and most of these numbers are Grichuk. The 5 for 9 with a home run and 2 doubles, all of that is Grichuk, and each guy has a walk against them, and they have no strikeouts. So Gore has struggled against those 2 White Sox hitters and on the road, but the rest of the White Sox bats are unfamiliar with them, which might be a little bit more of an advantage towards Gore. But I don't really want to trust Gore on the road, although he is in better form right now, and he does at least have some unfamiliarity here. Sean Burke is pitching for the White Sox. He's put together a good season. 3.27 ERA, 1.11 whip. You might have to worry about his innings count because he's exceeded the most that he ever threw, which was last year. He's 12 innings above that now this year, so you might have to worry about that a little bit. But he's still pitching pretty well here, and he's been reasonably good at home. 3.41 home ERA is worse than his road ERA, but his opponent batting average at home is better. He has given up 4 runs each in his last 2 outings, though. But he was actually not good on the road against Detroit, but he was actually not bad in his last start against the Mets. I think he got a little bit unlucky in that one. Like, his command was there, so his command still looks pretty good recently. His hit rate is pretty good on the season. His walk rate is kind of mediocre. His strikeout rate is high. So his strikeout walk ratio is pretty good, and his strikeout per 9 is pretty good. Burke has been good overall. And he has pretty good numbers against Texas, but it's a small sample. 6 at-bats, 12 at-bats, 1 extra base hit is a double from Burger. A double Burger. 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, 250 average, and now I'm hungry. 641 OPS. I'm going to have lunch shortly after I do this. But yeah, Burke has pretty good numbers here. I think I'd lean to the White Sox here in this one, man. Maybe even full game because they might even have the better bullpen, although maybe because the bullpens are both taxed. First 5 might make the most sense. White Sox first 5. Just focus on Gore not being that good on the road. Burke having better matchup numbers here. Money is indicating towards the Texas side, though. 78% of tickets on the White Sox, 75% of the cash on Texas. So the market read strongly on Texas, but I kind of disagree with it. First 5 White Sox, you're probably going to be looking at a higher price than the minus 130, though. So you might wind up having to lay a minus half run if you do that. It's a little bit dicey, though. And I think first 5 under makes some sense in this game, and the total's not high. It's at 8 or 7.5. So the odds makers think this is actually going to be kind of a pitching duel here. But the money's coming in on the over, and I think part of that is because of the unrested bullpens. 73% of tickets on the under, 77% of the cash on the over. I would lean first 5 under here, man, because Gore is in good form right now, at least in his last few road starts, haven't been bad. He's still unfamiliar to some of the White Sox lineup. Burke has been decent as well. So I think the starting pitchers might actually do okay here. I wouldn't want to do anything with the bullpens except avoid or fade them. But first 5 under, you can probably find like a 4 on that at the very least. So maybe that's a way to look at that game as well. All right, Baltimore, St. Louis. We got the over right in this game yesterday. And it was all Baltimore, 13-1. St. Louis might be in a bounce-back spot because, I talk about this. When a team returns home and they have a bad performance, a lot of times they bounce back and they do a lot better in the next game. And it doesn't get much worse than a 13-1 embarrassing loss. So maybe St. Louis is possibly a way to look here in this game. I don't think I'd want to deal with their bullpen, though. They only use 3 guys, but their bullpen's not good. Baltimore only used 2, so Baltimore has lighter usage here. Baltimore is the 10th ranked bullpen here, actually, so they're actually not a bad bullpen. St. Louis is 23rd, so there is a bullpen edge for Baltimore here. Baltimore is also the better offense. They're 17th, not great, but better than St. Louis at 25th. Baltimore will be going with Kyle Bradish in this one. He's been okay, 3.7 ERA, but 1.38 whip indicates his ERA should be higher than that. He's not as good on the road, 3.91 road ERA with a pretty high 293 opponent batting average on the road, so that's not very good. He's been okay this month, but he's had too many walks, and his last outing was not very good against the Yankees, but the fielding kind of hurt him and didn't allow him to get out of that game. So overall, I think he's been kind of mediocre, though, and just recently, he's also kind of mediocre. He's got an okay hit rate here. His walk rate is definitely too high. Strikeout rate is okay. So his problem is the walks, as it is with so many people. And his strikeout walk ratio has gotten way worse this year than it has been in the past. But he hasn't had a full season since 2023. But he was pitching a lot better back then. Bradish has actually had a pretty good career. So he is actually better than his numbers have been this year. But the last couple of years, he was really, really injury plagued, so he hasn't really had a full season for 3 years at this point until this year, so that might be affecting him in some way. His strikeout per 9, he actually posted some pretty good numbers throughout his career. This year, it's a little bit lower than it usually is. His numbers against St. Louis, they only have 3 hitters who have faced him, 5 at-bats, but they do have a 400 average, 1,100 OPS, 1 walk, and no strikeouts. Not a whole lot to see there, though. Bradish still might pitch well here, though, because it is a pitcher-friendly ballpark, and St. Louis is mostly unfamiliar with him, and they're not a very good offense. Michael McGreevy is pitching for St. Louis. The advanced analytics guys don't like him, but he's posted decent numbers throughout his career. 3.54 ERA, 1.21 whip isn't great, but it's not too bad. He doesn't put that many guys on base. His ERA is better at home, 3.41, but his OBA, the opponent batting average, is a little bit higher at 262. Excuse me. I was thinking OPA. I was like, this is my big fat Greek wedding now. McGreevy is in decent form here. He's had some mediocre outings here, but not bad. He's allowed 3 or 4 earned runs in every start in August and had a couple of bad outings at the end of July. One really bad one against the Cubs. But other than that, he's strung together a couple of pretty good months here. His hit rate's not bad. His walk rate's not too bad. He doesn't put a lot of guys on base, but he doesn't strike guys out, which is why advanced analytics guys have a problem with him. His strikeout walk ratio is still kind of okay. His strikeout per 9 obviously is low, though. Doesn't strike guys out. Baltimore basically hasn't seen him. Only Alonso has ever faced him, and he's 0 for 2 with a strikeout. So, yeah, you know what? I mean, I do lean to St. Louis in the first 5 here because I want to avoid their bullpen. The money seems to very much indicate that way. 52% of tickets on Baltimore, 87% of the cash on St. Louis. I think McGreevy has a little bit extra unfamiliarity, so the matchup looks a little bit better for him. Home road splits look to maybe favor him a little bit here. The money's definitely indicating on St. Louis. It could be a bounce-back spot, like I said, after the embarrassing game yesterday. I wouldn't include their bullpen, though, so the price is going to go up from being like a minus 105 price on St. Louis. You're probably going to be looking at like maybe upwards of minus 120 in the first 5, but I think that's the way I would play it. Is I would play this game St. Louis first 5 money line. The money's also indicating on the over 8 here, but I think I see more indicators towards the first 5 under in this one. I think both pitchers might actually be okay enough so as to not allow too many runs here. So that's kind of the way I would look at it. It is, even though I went over yesterday, it is still a pitcher-friendly park, and there's nothing spectacular about either offense here. All right, and then the last game on the slate here, which is going to be kind of an isolated game. It's the latest game on the board and the only game being played at West Coast time here, Pacific time. Minnesota at the A's. Gage Jump actually pitched well yesterday, even though he was at home, and Buxton got injured yesterday for the Twins, so that's something to keep an eye on. He might be out of the lineup today, which is going to affect the Twins' offense a little bit at least because he's one of their best hitters. The A's won yesterday, so these teams have split the series so far. And these teams, I think, are off tomorrow, so these teams are not playing tomorrow. Minnesota has more motivation, though, because Minnesota is still in the playoff race. The A's are not, so something to keep in mind there. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Jump was really good at home yesterday, man. I think Jump actually is possibly a decent pitcher. What's not decent is the A's bullpen. They used 3 guys out of the bullpen yesterday. They're not a good bullpen. Minnesota used 1. Minnesota might be the better of the 2 bullpens here, but I would not want to deal with either one. Minnesota's 28th. The A's are 29th, but I've said many times the A's are actually the worst bullpen. These are 2 of the worst 3 bullpens, so I would not want to deal with any of that. The A's are 15th offensively, Minnesota 12th, so these are both capable offenses, and this is in the A's stadium, which is very hitter-friendly. But the A's offense has kind of fallen off since the All-Star break and with all these injuries and stuff. Connor Prelip is pitching for Minnesota. He was the guy that I was watching last Friday night with Clint. He was pitching for Minnesota against San Diego. And he gave a bunch of runs, but he actually was decent with his command in that game. Prelip, overall, his numbers don't look very good, but, I mean, he's a rookie, and I think he does have some talent. 5.57 ERA, 1.4 whip, not very good, though, and he has definitely struggled on the road. 6.58 road ERA, which might not be a good sign when he's pitching in a very hitter-friendly road park here. His strikeout rate's been good. Like I said, recently, striking out a lot of guys, but he's allowing a lot of runs, and his walk rate hasn't really been that good, although against San Diego, I really think he kind of got unlucky, though. Like, they just had some really timely hits against him and got some runs off him, and he probably could have gotten out of that game allowing fewer runs than he did. He's got a hit rate that's very mediocre. His walk rate actually isn't that bad, and his strikeout rate is high, so his strikeout-walk ratio is actually going to be good here. Actually, I thought it would be a little bit better than that. I can't do the math anymore. Yeah, his strikeout-walk ratio is actually only okay. Strikeout per 9 is pretty good, though. Prelip, you also have to look in the stadium, how fly ball heavy is he? He isn't really that fly ball heavy. He's kind of somewhat of an even split ground ball fly ball, and he doesn't really allow that many home runs, so he might actually pitch okay in the stadium, although he's not good on the road, though. The A's have not hit him well when they've seen him. The A's have 5 hitters who have faced him, and they're only 1 for 10. The only hit is a single from McNeil, 3 strikeouts, no walks, 100 average, 200 OPS. You can do the math. That's easy math to do. So Prelip, actually, he looks like he might match up okay here. I think he's better than his numbers suggest. You do have to worry about him tiring out at the end of the season, but I don't think he's thrown that many innings yet. And he does have decent matchup numbers here. The A's have JT Ginn pitching, and he actually is a good style of pitcher for the stadium as well, and he has good numbers on the season despite pitching in this stadium. He's got a 3.6 ERA, 1.23 whip, not too bad, and he's not bad at home. His numbers are actually similar home and away. He's a little bit better on the road. His ERA is actually slightly worse on the road, but his opponent batting average is definitely worse at home, so he is more hittable at home. But he's still pitching pretty well overall. One of his worst start of the season, I think, came on the road here against the White Sox. Yeah, whatever. He's pitching pretty well recently, though. He's doing all right. Going at least 5 innings in most of his recent starts, not allowing too many runs here, not walking too many guys. He's a little bit too hittable recently, but his hit rate overall this season isn't that bad. In fact, it's his walk rate that's really actually the problem this year. His strikeout rate's not that high, so the advanced analytics guys won't like him because he's got a low strikeout walk ratio. It's actually lower than it was the last couple of years. His walk rate's definitely too high. His strikeout rate is mediocre here, but he doesn't allow a lot of fly balls. He's a somewhat heavy ground ball pitcher. Well, kind of even, basically more ground balls than most guys induce. He's not a really home run heavy guy, so both pitchers actually have decent styles to pitch okay in this game. I hate the bullpens, but I actually think I lean first 5 under in this one. I really don't want to do it, but I think both pitchers might actually be okay in this one. We have 88% of tickets and cash on the under. There's no way the public is playing it under in this game, even though the total is kind of high. It's 10, but it's always high at the A's Stadium. This is a pretty average total for a game at the A's Stadium here at 10 and or 10.5. First 5 under, though, I think you'll probably be able to find like a 5.5 on the, or maybe a 5, whatever, on the first 5 under. I think that's the way I would lean in this one. Money's also backing Minnesota. 58% of tickets, 68% of the cash on them at about minus 130. I don't know about that, man. Actually, did I forget Ginn's matchup numbers here? Hold on, let me see. Ginn's matchup numbers are only mediocre here. 21 at-bats against Minnesota, 286 average, 729 OPS. The OPS isn't bad. They've hit him for contact, but not for power. 5-2 strikeout walk ratio. So, yeah, you know what? I probably do lean Minnesota a little bit here. Prelip, I think, is better than his numbers look. Might have more talent than Ginn, just like a higher ceiling. Minnesota's the more motivated team. But you'd have to do it first 5. I know how bad the A's bullpen is. I don't want to back Minnesota's bullpen either. So I think Minnesota first 5. You might have to lay like half a run with that if you do it that way. Maybe not, though. Maybe there'll be a money line that's like reasonable on that. But yeah, 58% of tickets, 68% of the cash on Minnesota. And Minnesota, like I said, they're the only team that's actually fighting for playoffs and whatever here. So the motivation is kind of on their side. All right. Let's go to WNBA, and then I'll get out of here. I will have a WNBA play here on this first game, and it is going to be ugly, man. And there's one aspect of it that I don't like, but I think it's a good enough play to do it anyway. With 3 plays now, we're definitely going to get over 200 wins since I started tracking here, Let's get this done, man. We're going to take Connecticut plus 13.5. I think this line is ridiculous. It looks like the line has gone up from, like, it opened at like 9.5 and went up to 13.5. So probably that means Griner is still not playing for Connecticut, but does that even really matter that much? I mean, I know Griner is one of the better players on Connecticut, but Connecticut's just a bad team, man. I think it's going to just kind of be next woman up mentality, whatever. Like, I really don't think it downgrades their team that much with whatever they're doing. Plus, if anything, like, you're getting a better number on them at least. And if anything, maybe the number's overreacting to whatever's going on here. But the only negative for Connecticut, other than that they're the worst team, but that's being factored into the line, I think the rest is also being factored into the line. And that's the one negative, is Connecticut played yesterday against Chicago. But they are staying at home here. And usually I don't want to play on a team that is on a back-to-back, but at least they had a few days off prior to that. They had a couple of days off. I know they were returning home yesterday, but a lot of times the team does better in the next game after they return home. They did win against Chicago, so that will give them a little bit of confidence. And Edwards, I guess, had a career-high scoring effort in that game, whoever she is, and she had a double-double as well. So she had a good game for Connecticut yesterday. Part of the reason might be because Griner was out, but whatever. I mean, Griner is usually factoring into the rebounds at least. But whatever. You can see Griner doesn't really factor onto the stats that much. So Connecticut still is going to have a lot of their better players playing here. So I still don't really understand exactly why the line moved as much as it did. Nelson Ododa has been out as well. So you do have to see... Yeah, so she was out yesterday. We have to see if she's going to come back because she's been one of their better players as well. So maybe that's part of the reason why the number has gone up here, but I just don't even care. I just think it's a bad spot, man, for Golden State, which I'm going to show in a minute. And the total is so low in this game that you're getting a lot of value playing a huge dog like this here. So, yes, Connecticut, I know how ugly this is, but we don't need them to win. We just need them to, I would sprinkle like maybe 3% of the bet on the money line, maybe. Because sometimes these games are wild in the WNBA, and these big underdogs that I play sometimes do actually hit outright, as we saw with Golden State the last time. And that kind of gives you an indicator of why I'm fading Golden State here. But, yeah, I'm not going to expect Connecticut to win. I'm just expecting an ugly, low-scoring game, and it should be a get-in, get-out effort for Golden State here, and that's why I like this. Golden State does have one extra day of rest here, but even so, they're coming off beating Minnesota, man, and they pounded Minnesota, and we won on that game. If you remember my handicap on it, Minnesota was returning home from a road trip. They just beaten Golden State by double digits on the road trip. They were 3-0 against Golden State on the season. Golden State's a good defensive team, so I gave out that as a play. Golden State looked really good. They won the game. But now they're coming off that massive win, dude. Monster win, upset win against the best team in the league. Now they're going to go from Minnesota to Connecticut, and they have to play New York tomorrow, and that's why they're really out here in the New York area, right? They're playing these 2 games back-to-back. Which game do you think they're going to put their effort into? You know what I mean? Out of these 2? Yeah, I think it's going to be New York. So I think Golden State might actually even not play some of their starters for the full time here. And that's the other thing. We could definitely backdoor this thing with Connecticut. Like, say Golden State has a big lead towards the end of the game here. They might just pull their starters because they know they have to get ready for New York tomorrow. And that's a big game, and it's on Amazon Prime. So if they do that, Connecticut definitely has a chance to make a late run and like make this cosmetic or whatever and cover that way too. So the back door is open in this game, man. And it's a sandwich spot for Golden State between Minnesota and New York. Those are much, much bigger games. They're not going to pay attention to Connecticut. The last time they played Connecticut, they played here in July, and they beat Connecticut easily by 15 points. So why would they pay attention to them? You know, they played them earlier in the season back in Golden State and beat them by 27. I mean, they're not going to pay much attention to this game, I wouldn't think. So I think it's a get-in, get-out effort here. Golden State's more of a defensive team. You might be able to find a 14 on this now. I would just look around. You might get a little bit of a better number on this. I'll post whatever I find. Like if I find a better number on it. The money's coming in on Golden State, but I obviously disagree with that. 71% of tickets, 85% of the cash on them, but I think they're going to be a public side. And a defensive team like Golden State, even though their offense is okay, you don't want to lay points like this with a team like this on the road, especially not in a good spot. And the total is crazy low. The money has actually driven this thing down from 156.5 down to 151.5, although some of that might be because some of the starters aren't playing. But this is a low total, dude. You know what I always say? This is the lowest total I've seen on the WNBA board all season. And that combined with getting a double-digit underdog, I say let's do it, even though I know this is one of the bigger mismatches you'll see. It's like the third best team in the league against the worst team. I get all that, but you know I like playing underdogs with a low total because the low total means there's more value. I do this in football. Football, it's even better because football is a lower scoring sport. But in basketball, it works as well, especially in the WNBA, which is lower scoring than the NBA. Yeah, I like it, man. It means each point is worth more because the total's so low. It's more likely the underdog will hang around here. Let's do it. Connecticut plus the 13.5 or maybe plus 14 if you can find it. And then the last game, the number on this game looks really, really strange. Toronto at Seattle on USA Network. These are not good teams, obviously, but looking at this number, Seattle has one of the worst records. I think they have the worst record in the entire league, and they're laying 6.5 points here. So you got to question, like, what the hell is going on here? Like, that's the first thing I noticed. This looks like a very misleading number here. So that has me looking towards maybe playing Seattle here, right? Because why would Seattle be a 6.5 point favorite when they have the worst record in the league? The public is only going to play Toronto here. Like, oh my God, like I'm getting points playing against the worst team in the league, playing on a team with a better record. I would slow it down a little bit though. One of the main reasons for this is because Toronto has a bunch of players that aren't playing here. It looks like they have some injuries going on here. A couple of players might just be rested in this game. So that's what's going on. Toronto does have some players that are not playing in this game. So that's one thing that's going on. That's part of the reason why the line is shot up like this. So I don't want to do it because it might be an overreaction. I'm going to lead Seattle in this game just because the line looks so misleading, and nobody's going to want it, but I don't think I want to lay that price with it. You know, we're going to be a 3.5 point favorite, and I think Toronto's just resting some players, and you'll see what their schedule looks like in a minute. So even though they do have injuries as well, but I think they're resting some players as well. So I think the line is an overreaction a little bit. Like the 3.5 would have been a lot better, and if it only went up to like 4.5, maybe it would be better, but the 6.5 is a bit of an overreaction. So I still don't want to do it, but I do not want Toronto here. Toronto has a bad road record as well. Seattle, believe it or not, their home record is at least better than Toronto's road record. Seattle just got killed by Dallas. They are returning home, but it was only a single game road trip. So, I fade teams returning home from road trips usually, but that was only a single game road trip. So I'm not as concerned by that. Seattle, I believe, did play Toronto early in the season, and they lost both times. Yeah, so Seattle lost at Toronto by 13 and at home by 20, at Toronto both times, at Toronto by 21. That means Toronto has not even played in this arena before. So I think that's an extra disadvantage to Toronto here because they won't be familiar with this arena. They won't know the sight line, so that should help Seattle be adjusted already, right? Like Seattle already knows how to shoot in this arena, even though I know the arenas are pretty uniform in this league, but still there might be some weird stuff in the background and whatever, who knows? So Toronto has to get accustomed to the sight lines here. And Toronto's also in a Vegas sandwich. They just played Vegas and they lost by 10, and they're playing Vegas again in 2 days. So this is a bad spot for Toronto for that reason. Also, they have to travel to the West Coast for a 10 p.m. game. And I talk about that when a team that's more easterly. And Toronto's travel has been bizarre, dude. Like they were on the 18th, they were home against Indiana. The 19th, back-to-back, they had to go to Washington. Then on the 21st, they had to go play in Vancouver for some reason against Portland. Then they came home from that, and now they have to go back out to the West Coast to play Seattle. This is such a ridiculous travel spot. I think that's also factoring into the line. I think the travel spot is definitely factoring into the line too. So I do like Seattle in this game. Like everything kind of lines up for Seattle as far as the spot is concerned. But the problem is, I just don't think the number's good. You know what I mean? I don't want to lay 6.5. But I think Seattle should win this game. Toronto, they might be looking ahead to Vegas next, like I said, and Toronto might just overlook Seattle. They're going to have to get adjusted to the Pacific time zone, like I said. So all this travel is crazy back and forth, but readjusting to the time zone again. In the last 5 days, they're having to travel 3 time zones both ways, like one way each, so twice. Completely ridiculous. Ridiculous scheduling. The WNBA is stupid, dude. Like usually the WNBA will have like the scheduling such that you'll play like a bunch of teams in the same area. Sometimes play the same team twice when you see them and you're in their area, but that's not what they're doing with Toronto here. I don't know what the deal is, but yeah, it's a bad spot, dude. Bad travel spot. Sandwich spot's bad. They have to reacclimate themselves to the Pacific time zone, and that's bad. Like I said, your biological clock has to somehow reacclimate to this later time zone. Not good. Plus, they have to get adjusted to, this is at Seattle. At Seattle. Yeah, so Toronto, they're a new team, so they're not really familiar with playing in Seattle yet. For some reason, I was thinking like the way the expansion teams work, like a new arena. So it's not a new arena, so Toronto's players have probably played in this arena before, but Toronto as a team has not played in this arena before, so that's what I'll say. All right, I think I'm done with all that. Look at the market. The money is kind of similar to the Golden State one, where it looks like public and pros all on the road team, all on Toronto, but I don't agree with it. 86% of tickets, 95% of the cash on them. Total is kind of a mid-range total in this one. Money kind of coming towards the under a little bit. But yeah, Seattle 6.5. I would not want to lay 6.5, but I do lean to Seattle in this game. The 4.5, I'd be tempted to actually do it. If you want to do something with it and you really want to have some stupid action on these WNBA games. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the green dildos are back. We've had 2 green dildos in the past 3 or 4 days. It happened last night in that Phoenix game, which I was wrong about. So luckily I didn't add that to my card. But there was a green dildo that came out in that game. So you might be able to bet on dildos again, man. I haven't looked at it again, but you remember I did a special segment on my show last year talking about the dildo betting, because you could bet on the color of the dildo, whether one would be thrown at all. You could bet whether or not it would hit a player first or be touched by a ref first. Crazy shit. It's hilarious, man. It's one of the better things to happen to the WNBA because it's such a bad league, bad basketball, whatever. It's become such a joke, man. I mean, why not make it more of a joke? Dildo tossing and have men enter the league, even though the WNBA finally decided, no, that's not allowed. But you have to ask them, well, why? What do you mean? How are you defining a woman? You're actually saying that a woman means somebody that has female sex chromosomes? Is that actually what you're saying? So that's why you're saying Enes Kanter? They phrase it as NBA stars are not allowed to play. I'm like, well, Enes Kanter wasn't a star, so he's allowed to play. But they refuse to phrase it as biological men are not allowed to play in this sport, even though that was the whole founding of this sport. That was the whole reason for it. The WNBA was for women. That's what it is. What is a woman? We all know what a woman is. It's so ridiculous, dude. Oh my God. But whatever. I'm going off on tangents here. I think if you want action in this game, besides maybe finding some dildo bets, if those are available somewhere, you could moneyline parlay this thing. I think Seattle is going to win. So you could take Seattle's money line, which is probably minus 200 something or whatever, and find a similar money line and parlay the two. But I mean, what can you do with that though? Really, like the only money line that you could do it with NFL tomorrow. Although I haven't looked at the NFL board yet tomorrow. But if you have a favorite you might like in the NFL tomorrow, you can money line parlay one of those with Seattle. Maybe that would be my recommendation, or find like a heavy baseball favorite today that you like and maybe do that. I don't know. You could go back and see what my analysis was. I don't even know like which. Did I have a favorite? Maybe Milwaukee, I guess, although their price isn't that heavy, but I think they were kind of the bigger favorite that I kind of liked a bit today. I mean, I guess you could moneyline parlay Seattle in WNBA and Milwaukee in baseball. Probably, I don't know. I would say maybe it's better to find a preseason NFL game and parlay, moneyline parlay that, like a favorite that's in the minus 200 range, parlay that with the Seattle side. Anyway, that's going to do it. My plays today are the under in Philly, Seattle, and baseball. I really like this one. Everything sets up for that one. It better come through. And then I added on the fly Miami in the first 5. More of a spot play, really, to fade the Red Sox. But the matchup numbers seem to support it as well. And then we have this ugly, huge underdog with the Con women, Connecticut. Even though they're a decimated roster, I still don't care. Horrible spot for Golden State. Take Connecticut plus the points in the WNBA. Let's work our way back to being a winning WNBA season. We might not get it, man. We don't have too many games left, but I'm going to try. And we got one right the other day. Arcade, what's up, man? On what? What are we talking about? My lean on what? On the dildos? It's 11-11. Everybody can make a wish. A Cantor WNBA jersey. Well, what you can do is, you can find like one of those sites that makes those jerseys. You can just get a custom WNBA jersey and make it the Chicago Sky, because that was the team that was getting angry at him and kicked him out of the building. So get a Chicago Sky Cantor jersey. Oh, I don't know. I mean, they all seem to be green, but if there's a color problem, I mean, green is going to be a heavy favorite, but every single one is green. I think the question is, the yes or no is probably the better like look here. I would say it's not going to happen tonight because it seems to happen in specific arenas, and Phoenix is one of them. So I would say maybe tomorrow, bet that it will happen again in Phoenix, in the Washington-Phoenix game. We'll see if I'm right about that. But Phoenix seems to be kind of a dildo hotbed. I think they had at least one of them, probably multiple of them last year, and they had the most recent one. So I don't know. We'll see. Might be the same person doing it. I don't know. I mean, I would not bet serious money on it, obviously. I would only bet entertainment money on it, like, lunch money, dinner money, whatever, fast food money, goy slop money. Am I allowed to say that on here? Maybe not. I don't want to get this channel nuked, so I don't know. That's going to do it. Learn to Toad on Twitter. Learn to Toad on Instagram. Like, subscribe to this channel. You get notifications when I go live. If you missed my college football preview, you can still go check that out. That starts on Saturday with week 0, so I will probably be back to doing the nighttime college football series, probably starting with Friday night. So we'll see. And what else do we have going on? Yeah, there'll be an NFL preview at some point, and I might do 2 more, like one solo one and one with Clint as a bald episode. So be on the lookout for that. And then he may join me for a Major League Baseball playoff prediction one like he did last year as well. So we'll see. What else do I have to promote here? Covered in Uke is my Uke channel on YouTube. Patreon.com/LearnToToad if you want to support me that way. Losercast had a new episode last night. It was fun. You can go check that out. And the New York Giants G-Spot podcast. I keep mentioning it because it's technically a thing, but we'll see what happens. That's going to do it. I appreciate everybody. Happy Wednesday. Let's have another winning day here, man, and peace.
If the dog starts talking, hand me the phone. Let somebody answer, let somebody know. You do not have to lose this round alone. Hold on, not tonight, not now. Hold on, let me pull you out. That bad luck bites hard, but it don't get the crown. Hold on, stay with me now. Hold on, you're still here.